James, I'll turn back over to you. You helped me find my why, actually, and I found yours. So I know that when I was experiencing that process, I was feeling pretty nervous in that kind of story when I was gathering the stories. And I wondered if you could share a bit of your experience in that kind of preparation stage.
Yeah, for sure. I think I remember the day, but also in the lead up very, very clearly, because I was very, very nervous. Which is weird because we know each other very, very well and had done a lot of things kind of like this before. But I think for this one, I was particularly nervous. I wouldn't say apprehensive, but just nervous. And I think there were a few things kind of contributing to that, if you like. I think as you showed before, a key part is the story gathering process. And there's very clear guidelines of kind of, the types of stories to kind of look for or think about in advance. And I think that in itself is quite a vulnerable process. You are kind of going back into quite significant events in your life and some from your childhood. And so it does, mean that you do have to open up and think about the past and all that. So I think that, and that vulnerability in itself, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking or uncomfortable, even if you are doing it with someone who you are very comfortable with. And I think as well, kind of the either like competitive or A-type person within me was just like, what if these are not the right stories? Or like, what if we get to the end and Chloe was like, these stories are all crap and I have no idea what your why is. Like, do you have any better ones? So I was so worried. I was like, I have to work out these magic stories that are going to unlock my why. And if I choose the wrong stories, then it's going to be the wrong why. And I was so like I was just obsessing about, do I choose this story? Do I this? Anyway, we get to the day and I'm talking on about all my stories, and a few of them are quite similar. But then Chloe, as part of the process, really drew out some new stories that I hadn't even prepared. And it turns out that a lot of these news stories were also, some of the most helpful in finding your why. So I think, of course, be prepared, but don't overanalyze it and don't think too much about have I got the right stories, because that's also sort of part of the process. And I can attest that Chloe is very, very skilled in kind of drawing out those other stories which you haven't thought about, and then also kind of seeing the threads through them. And having been on the other side as well, then even as part of the process, it's very natural to then think of different threads and kind of probe for different stories as well.
Yeah, I remember when I did mine with James, I was saying, James is completely, you tell the story better than I do.
Well, yeah, so I was doing Chloe's, and I mean, pretty much within the first two stories, I'd pretty much worked out kind of, pretty much 80% of what the why would be. And then I was like, have you got any other like different stories? And she's like, okay, this one is completely different. Like, it has nothing to do with any other stories. And within the first two sentences, it was like it had the exact same themes. And I started laughing, and she's like, why are you laughing at this story? Because it was like, a kind of serious one. And I was like, oh, I'll explain to you later. And then it was just in every single story, no matter what age you were, no matter who it was with, what significant person it was in your life. It was amazing that it was just these very common themes coming out. And so it is this process where unless you've got someone looking at it with you, you can't figure it out yourself, which I think is where we're leading now.
Want to be a confident, purpose-led leader? At Popp, we provide professional development that lasts. How? By integrating expert advice with leadership coaching and community, supporting you to sustainably elevate your performance and unlock your potential. Sign up today and let us support you in making your unique difference in the world.